Hey guys, Derek here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the first time if you are new. We are back to watch the season finale of The Acolyte. This is episode 8. I'm desperately hoping this show gets a second season because I'm just really curious to see what they will do with more storytelling. You know, I've been generally enjoying this show. I think my overall enjoyment of the show hinges a lot on the finale. You know, if they can land the plane and the finale is great, I think I will have a very positive view of the show. If they don't land the finale, I think I will end up feeling generally disappointed by the product as a whole. Obviously, there's incredible moments from this show. Episode 5, the end of episode 4 in particular, a lot of the combat, impeccable stuff. There's some structural issues that I, take issue with, and some pacing issues and things like that. And I think, for the most part, I am willing to forgive a lot of that if they can land the finale and they can tie it all together in a way that is satisfying. If they can't do that, then I think I'll end up feeling a little bit more harshly on some of that previous things that I could have taken issue with. But otherwise, I'm pretty excited to see the finale. We just got the last flashback sequence last episode where they really explained everything that went down and how the Jedi just screwed things up. Even though they had good intentions, they just effed things up. And I'm curious to see the present day, how they finish things off. So before we jump into this, if you end up enjoying my reaction, please leave a like on the video. It means a lot to me. If you're new here, hit subscribe or ring the bell so you're notified when I upload, especially if you want to see me react to more Star Wars stuff. Future shows that we have coming, we have Skeleton Crew, we have Andor Season 2, we eventually will have The Mandalorian, maybe Season 4 or the movie, whichever comes first. So there's plenty of stuff still coming that I will be watching on the channel, so stick around if you are interested in that. Otherwise, I watch a ton of, sci-fi, fantasy type stuff on the channel that I think you would very much enjoy. And then if you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, consider supporting me on Patreon or joining YouTube memberships, both linked down below. You just sync up your own copy of the episode and you can watch along with me. But other than that, let's jump into the season finale of The Acolyte. Hey, Jason.
Musha.
What's happening? Damn, he's fighting through it. Whoa. What was just happening with her eyes?
Miss May. She had her hand outstretched. She was killing Soul. She had a saber in her hand, but she didn't use it.
This is the future you saw. She can kill with no weapon.
Maybe you abandoned her too early. Or maybe it wasn't her, maybe it was Osha.
There is a vengeance on this planet. Now that you and Osha are both alive, I can prove it.
Proof what? That murdering our mother was justified?
Well, yeah, what is he trying to prove?
If it was an accident, then why didn't you tell Osha? Why did you lie to her?
That's a good question, brother.
My biggest regret is that I wasn't able to save you both. You and Osha are not twins.
You're the same person. Split in two.
You're not even sisters. You're
Come on now. You can't even let him finish what he's saying. Basil, get her!
See you in hell, Jedi.
See you in hell. Damn, what a line. I wish he would have finished what he was saying, though. That's fun. I don't think he's concerned about being too big. He's the goat like that. Soul, this is so dangerous. This doesn't seem smart. Is Basil gonna stop him? That's so frightening. This is new, Soul. Basil's looking out for you. Is she gonna crash? Damn. Alright. Well.
Senator.
Apologies for my intrusion.
Not at all.
This is who he's playing.
I've heard some disturbing things.
What have you heard?
That you are running a murder investigation without reporting it to the Senate.
I have the authority to take independent action if there's no larger threat.
How can you know there is no larger threat?
All the victims were Jedi.
There are multiple victims?
Many. Not just multiple, many.
I think the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power, posing as a religion. A delusional cult that claims to control the uncontrollable.
We don't control the Force.
Not the Force. Your emotions.
Ooh.
It's only a matter of time before one of you snaps. And when, not if that happens, who will be strong enough to stop him?
That's certainly an opinion, and not one shared by the rest of the Senate.
Well, he isn't wrong.
When you're looking up to heroes, you don't have to face what's right in front of you. Good luck. Now, what is it you say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
I mean, he just kind of read her straight up. He was not wrong at all.
Did I give you the impression that I was a fair person?
Yes, you did. You made a deal with my sister, and you expected her to uphold it. That's fair. And so is this.
Where did you get such a cool outfit?
You should be trained. Would you ever consider?
No.
Then you must die.
They made that deal without even thinking about it.
She thought about it for sure. She's thinking about it even more now. Excuse me? Excuse me? You can't just toss that in there? You can't give me a tease of Darth Plagueis and act like it's like a throwaway. What the F? Was he chilling in the cave the whole time? That's insane. Does Kymir know about him? That's all I'm gonna be thinking about now. That's like a end of the episode, end of season tease. They just chuck it in the middle of the episode.
All the way back home.
She's smart. She knows how to turn off your stuff. Damn, the whole place overgrown.
Hey!
Do you remember the crimes you committed, Saul?
Getting this elevator operational is the only way in. Unless you want to climb.
He's down with climbing.
You sure?
Or floating. Yeah, he can float. Forgot about that. Maybe he can teleport too. Maybe he can smoke teleport.
Hey!
Look, it's your room.
Hey!
Thank you for leading me to her.
He's so spooky.
Make a great team.
Oh dear. Combat's so good. He walks with such purpose. Damn. Ugh, he's so cool. Oh, Soul's good. Soul is real good. Ooh. God, just dirty. So good. He's so good. He might be able to take on Obi-Wan in combat. Howdy ho, neighbor.
Everything that happened here. All because you didn't want me to become a Jedi. I didn't do this.
You did.
Soul lied to you.
This part, you definitely did.
Soul killed our mother. I saw it with my own eyes. How could he teach you to control your negative emotions?
Can't even control his. It's a fake Pip. Damn. She seems a lot more controlled than her. I think May would have made a much better Jedi. Jedi are here.
Now you pay for what you've done.
Oh, they're not here for me.
That's true. He's gonna knock your lightsaber off. Did he cut him too, or just the lightsaber? Just the lightsaber, I guess. Saul's so good, dude. Come on, May.
Good, May.
Except
Feel your anger.
in the vision, she didn't have a lightsaber. So it wasn't her. Oh, you broke
Strike
it.
them down, and your journey will be complete.
Do it.
No.
Damn.
I want him to confess what he did.
He must stand trial.
I want him to pay for his crimes.
I did the right thing.
You had the right intentions.
I wanted to protect
You didn't necessarily do the right thing, though.
You are not twins. You and the ocean are the same person. I don't know how your mother did it, but it has something to do with the virgins on this planet.
How she did what?
She created life. I believe she used the Force to create you and the ocean.
It's the first time he's hearing of this.
And you killed her. You killed our mother.
She was doing spooky stuff.
Yes. I did.
Is that true?
It is, Osha. It is.
I was protecting you. It was the right thing to do.
If it was the right thing to do, why didn't you tell the Jedi?
For your sake.
Why didn't you tell me?
They would have sent you away. They never would have let you become a Jedi. I did what I thought was best for you. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I couldn't. I kept this from you, so you could have the life you'd always dreamed of. I did everything
She's gonna kill him.
because I love...
Oh, is she force choking him right now?
Stop talking.
It was herself she saw in the vision. Oh, she's bleeding the Kyber crystal.
It's okay.
Damn. She killed him. She was the one in the vision. Ooh. Damn. Give me the Sith eyes. Damn. Oh, that's what she saw. You could... when she initially had her vision, you could see a lightsaber in her eyes. And it did it again. She was witnessing her own turn to the dark side.
You're alive.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely her former Padawan. Basil! Basil, what good are you going to do here?
When I fell, I got sucked into this core tunnel.
Oh, okay.
Should not have brought him here.
Damn, she's sensing all of it. That's why he wears the helmet, so she can't find him. He's too spooky. This is the Virgins. The tree.
You are with me. I am with you. Who taught us that rhyme? I thought you made it up.
No, it was probably the spell that they used when they created you.
I'll show when they find out how powerful you are.
You will meet the same fate as our mother.
Yeah. they'll kill you. She'll take you up on that offer now.
Let my sister go and I will train with you.
I can attempt to wipe her memory. Remove any trace of you or me. Permanently.
Interesting. We got that kind of time?
I will find you. I know you will.
Interesting.
As above sits the stars. And below lies the...
sea. Damn. Well, you guys got to dip. It's time to leave.
You're under arrest.
What did I do?
Surely they'll be able to recognize she had her mind wiped.
What do you remember?
Fire.
And he wiped a lot.
I'm seeing a man. He killed my mother.
Your last memory is from when you were 8 years old. That man who killed your mother was a Jedi. He was a kind, brilliant, compassionate man.
Just a little too in tune with his emotions.
16 years ago, they discovered a force cult of witches. A conflict ensued. There were many casualties. Afterwards, the Jedi conspired to keep their actions secret. Recently, when the truth threatened to come out, a rogue Jedi named Soul killed his accomplices to maintain the cover story.
Damn, they're blaming the whole thing on Soul.
Sorry, my friend.
And where is Master Soul now?
He was found dead on Brandok, at the scene of his original crime. I believe he ended his own life.
Vernestra, just cover up of the century.
A mistake he lived with for so long, it twisted his mind. He justified every selfish step with the love he had for your sister.
True.
Does the name Osha mean anything?
Can they break through the barrier? Wonder if he actually wiped her memories or just like put a blockade up.
The Jedi have failed you. I am going to make this right. But I need your help.
With what?
I need you to help me find someone.
Who?
A pupil of mine. Before he turned to evil.
We called it. We called it. Damn. Holding hands. Okay, it's not over.
Sorry to disturb you, Master. We need to talk.
Yoda! Damn. The cover-up king himself. Okay, we definitely need season 2 of this show. I thought it was a really good finale. Like, structurally really good finale. Like, it tied together and you know, for all intents and purposes, closed the mystery of the whole season, right? The mystery, the emotional throughput of the whole season, it essentially closed that and gave us not just like plot-wise closure, but like emotional closure at that point, which I thought worked really well, right? So we get the actual like conclusion of these arcs essentially, right? With Soul and with May and with Osha, I thought the conclusion and the emotional payoff of their specific storylines worked really well. Especially when you take Vernestra's words to May at the end to, like, I think her words to May at the end really encapsulate the whole situation, right? Like, back in the day, the Jedi thought they were doing the right thing. They had good intentions, but they made a mistake. They did something wrong, right? Soul says, you know, we did the right thing. He's wrong there. They did the wrong thing. They had good intentions behind their actions, but the thing in itself that they did was wrong. And Vernestra, she said it best. She's like, one man used over time his mind twisted, and he used whatever excuse he needed to tell himself to, you know, deal with that guilt. You know, otherwise if he didn't, he would have been consumed by the guilt. Maybe would have turned to the dark side himself. So he told himself whatever he needed to hear to justify his actions and maintain that sort of peace within the Force. But, you know, unbeknownst to himself, he wasn't actually, you know, at peace. He was still in turmoil that whole time. You know, he never quite dealt with his guilt about the situation. He never dealt with the pain truly. And so he was never in flow and in tune with the light side of the Force. He was always in turmoil, always living with the fear that it would come out, with the fear that Osha would reject him. And it allowed, or it, not allowed, but it made him so much more susceptible to the dark side of the Force, but not like traditional like Sith ideology of like embracing that, but in terms of like the fear and the emotional entanglement of the dark side of the Force, if that makes sense. Like when he reacts emotionally, like you see in episode 5, when he reacts emotionally and Chimera is like, I've dealt with my dark side, or I've accepted my dark side. What have you done with yours? And Soul, he never accepted his dark side. He just kind of like pushed it down and pretended it didn't exist, where he, you know, if he wanted to be a true, you know, paragon of the Force, a true Jedi, he would recognize that dark side within himself and then choose not to access it. That's what the balance of the Force is like. It's not just rejecting that the dark side is like a possibility. It's recognizing that the dark side is a possibility and is, you know, accessible within all of them, but actively choosing not to go down that path. Which I think a lot of people misinterpret what the balance in the Force means. I just saw a video, and it was of the guy who plays Kelleran Beck and who played Jar Jar back in the day, and he's talking about George Lucas, and George Lucas told him, you know, everyone misinterprets what balance in the Force means. You know, a lot of people think that like bringing balance to the Force, or there being balance in the Force, means, you know, equal parts dark side and light side, right? Like accepting within yourself that there is light and dark and accessing both of those. But that's not what it is. It is accepting that there is dark side within you, and actively choosing not to access it, right? The Jedi, if they're doing things correctly, the Jedi are the balance in the Force, right? Like a lot of people think that the balance means that there's Jedi and Sith, light and dark. And the usage of both is what means you're in balance. But no, using the dark side, like accessing it and using it to your to further your own gains, or using it to accomplish whatever task, that is taking balance out of the Force. That is a corruption of the Force, because it's too easy. Whereas the Jedi recognizing that the dark side is like a possibility within them and actively choosing not to use it, that is balance in the Force. At least according to George Lucas. That's, you know, he created the whole thing. I assume he knows what he's talking about. But Soul was unbalanced because he instead of recognizing the dark side within himself and coming to peace with that and then choosing not to access it, he never was willing to acknowledge that within him. And instead of, you know, recognizing it, he just shoved it away in a closet and pretended it didn't exist. And over time, it poisoned him and twisted his mind to truly believe that he was in the right with his actions, instead of recognizing that what they did was wrong. And so his interactions in this episode with both Osha and May were very interesting. I liked that he explained that, you know, truly what it is to them. Like at least May knows. I think Osha wasn't. I don't know if she had walked up yet. I'll have to rewatch that exact part, but I believe both of them, or at least one of them, knows that they are the same person. They are not twins. They are not sisters. They're not anything of the sort. They are the same person split into like two consciousnesses, which is crazy. you know, and that's why he felt justified in killing their mom, is because he was like, the amount of power that it would take to do that, like not just a virgins in the Force, but like someone incredibly powerful in the Force, to do that, like that's a lot of power. And in the Jedi's mind, like that sort of power that isn't adhering to the ways of the Jedi is bad. And so he felt not only justified that way, but like in the moment she was doing spooky stuff. You know, that's the part I can justify, right? Like they had shown themselves to be spooky individuals. They had shown themselves to be scary and corrupting the Force. Well, maybe not corrupting the Force, but using the Force to corrupt other people. With Torben, you know, they infiltrated his mind. You know, they're controlling Kelnaka, different things. So, like, in the moment, him killing her feels justified in the way of, like, he doesn't know what she's doing. Like, he thought she was, you know, trying to kill May or kill Osha in that moment when she's turned into smoke. She was probably just trying to get them to safety, but still, like, in the moment, it is understandable from a human perspective why he did what he did. But then you also have to recognize that it was a mistake, that killing her was not the best thing to do, you know, but recognize that those mistakes were made. He never recognized that, and he lied to Osha about it. And I don't hate the fact that he lied to her for the most part, right? Or at least, no, I don't like that he lied to her. I don't, you know, I'm fine with the fact that they lied to the rest of the Jedi Order and all these things where, you know, they wanted her to be a Jedi. They didn't want to take more from her. But not telling her ever is bad. You know, they lied to her the whole time. And, oh God, he was going to tell her he loved her as like a daughter. But her sense of betrayal in that situation was just too much. And she, oh my God, the moment where she force chokes him to death and bleeds the Kyber crystal like at the same time. Like she fully embraced the dark side in that moment. That was crazy to see. Like her own vision, her vision of what she thought was her sister, came true. And it's just crazy. You know, she thought it was her sister killing him in the moment. It turns out it was her. She just she pulled a Soul when Soul couldn't recognize that the two of them were different because they have the same consciousness. She couldn't recognize that the two of them were different in her Force vision. So what she thought was her sister was actually herself killing Soul. And it was crazy. It was crazy. The lightsaber combat again in the episode was dope as hell. Like Soul is a straight up mess. like if Soul could have lived, like I don't know if there's a soul in the Jedi Order that can challenge him, like from a combat standpoint. Like he's goated. Like he's so good. And that, like, it's insane. Like, he's up there, I think, with, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi in terms of, like, lightsaber ability. A lot of the Jedi in this, I mean, even Torben, he's kind of sick with it, honestly. Like, they showed that they're really capable. I mean, I guess if you spend, like, all day, every day, essentially just training, you know, practicing combat against lightsaber stuff, you get pretty good at it, right? You're not like in practice with fighting Sith or anything, but you're really good with the lightsaber if that's all you do. And he's so good. Like when he's fighting Chimere and Chimere throws the lightsabers at him and he's just like, I'm gonna just put this away, and it's like, what? What do you mean you're just gonna put your lightsabers away? And then he's just like, boom, force push. Like he's goated. Like he's so good. They need, whoever did the lightsaber fight choreography for this show needs to be involved with everything. Like every Star Wars property that involves any sort of combat at all, get this dude involved, or girl, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl, get them involved and have them run the whole show. like not run the whole show, but like run the show of choreography. Because that, far and away, that is one of the biggest pluses of this show, is just the absolute excellence put on display in terms of the fight choreography. Perfect. Was so good. But yeah, now freaking Osha is going to train with Chimere, and there may be some like romantic stuff. They were holding hands at the end, so I imagine there'd be some romance potentially involved later on in their storyline. And yeah, she's gonna train with him. May has her memory wiped, or at least like maybe not completely wiped, but like locked away. I don't know if he has the ability to just like wipe her memory, but he could probably definitely put up a barrier. I imagine that would be like a season 2, maybe season 3 storyline, is they realize her memory's not completely wiped, like you can still access certain things, and that's like her storyline in season 2 is recovering her memory while simultaneously like drifting closer to the light side of the Force. That would be an interesting move. I imagine like the conclusion of May and Osha's storyline, you know, if I'm projecting 2-3 seasons down the line, like if this continues, I would imagine at some point they go from being 2 people to 1 person. Like there's gonna be some mechanism eventually to bring them back together to become like one. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be, you know, May learns to fully embrace the light side of the Force, the light side tendencies within her, and Osha embraces those dark side tendencies, and then they eventually come back to become one physical being, and it's like a balanced individual, and they're like a chill person then. that's what's gonna happen. I'm calling it. But yeah, this whole stuff goes down, and Vernestra, you know, completely just taking her training and example straight from the cover-up king himself, Master Yoda. The man is so goated at covering things up that she's like, I need to chat with Yoda if I want to get this right. It was cool to see just the back of his head at the end of the episode, but very interesting that they straight up just like blamed the whole thing on Soul. Like the incident at Brendok early on, the killings of the rest of the Jedi that happened, pretty much everything they blamed on Soul. And it's crazy. It's also very low-key satisfying. I'm gonna get a little venty, a little ragey right now towards a specific section of the Star Wars fandom that for the first 7 episodes were pissing their pants, being like, "Oh my god, this breaks Star Wars canon. You can't. The Jedi didn't know. Like, Ki-Adi-Mundi said there was no Sith. This is breaking canon. This show is ass. This is such garbage. Like, this is the worst Star Wars I've ever seen. They completely disregard canon." No, you dumb bitch. No, they didn't. Like, if you just would watch the whole show, you would recognize that the reason in the future that they're like, hey, the Sith haven't been around in forever, is because the Jedi actively covered it up. Vernestra covered it up and blamed the whole thing on Soul. She blamed the whole thing on one rogue Jedi and covered up her involvement, covered up her former apprentice's involvement, everything. It was all covered up. So these stupid people that spent the whole first, however many episodes being like, this is the worst Star Wars I've ever seen, like, they actively disregard canon in regards to this. It's like, no, they didn't. If you would just watch the whole season instead of pissing your pants for 7 weeks, like, you would recognize. Like, get your head out of your butthole. It's just, oh my god, it's so annoying. Like, Star Wars theory. and whatever nerd Chronic or Chronic, whatever, the douchebag, former like drug dealer. these dudes and like their fans just are the most disingenuous like viewers of media I've ever dealt with. Like, it's so frustrating. And like, like it's so annoying. Like, is this show the greatest Star Wars show or the greatest show in general? No. Like, it's a decent show, and I think my opinion of it is a little higher because the finale was good. If the finale was bad, I would give, if the finale didn't tie everything together and didn't quite work, I would probably rate this show a 6.5. Because so much of the quality of the storytelling relies on if they can close it all together. Since the finale was good, I'd probably give this show a 7.7 to an 8.3. Anywhere in that range is fine with me. It's not the greatest show, the greatest thing ever made. The best Star Wars that exists still is, the crown is still held by Andor. It's Andor season 1, and then Empire Strikes Back, and then 70%, 80% of The Last Jedi. You take out the Canto Bight sequence of The Last Jedi, and The Last Jedi is arguably one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media ever. And then you get Revenge of the Sith, and then A New Hope, and all the rest of it. That's my personal ranking. But, so, the crown is still Andor, season 1. That being said, like, yeah, this isn't the greatest thing ever, but the people that were acting like that this is, like, the biggest piece of garbage they've ever seen, no. Is there some moments here and there where, like, the writing is a little iffy and the acting is a little iffy here and there? Yeah. And is there some structural issues and some pacing issues here and there? Yes. Like, there are a decent amount of small little problems here and there. There isn't anything that's, like, massively disrupting in terms of, like, the quality of this show. It's, for the most part, just decent with some really, really good moments. And the fact that people are pissing and moaning, being like, it breaks canon, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, you guys suck. You don't approach media from a genuine perspective, looking to actually critique it in a genuine way. You latch on to these small inconsistencies, these small little moments that you can extrapolate into rage bait content, and it pisses me off. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, you don't approach the content in a genuine way. Like, you don't look at something, you don't look at the actions of characters and think, why would they do this? Like, what is their motivation in universe, like in story? What would have driven them to do this? What would be their motivation to act in this certain way? You just approach it of the mindset of, they would never do that. Like, no, just approach the story with a genuine, desire to connect with it and a genuine desire to see where it goes. And I think you'll like it a lot more. It has been scientifically proven. There's been studies that have shown that when you approach a certain thing with an inherent bias to either like it or not like it, it will affect how you view the thing as a whole. So if you go into a project, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, whatever project, if you go in expecting that you are going to dislike it and actively desiring to dislike it, you're going to end up disliking it. If you go in determined, to, be blind throughout the whole thing, even on the other side, like if you go in and you're like, I know I'm gonna like this, like I guarantee, and you are just determined to like it, substantial chance you'll probably enjoy it. But if you go in middle of the road and you just are willing to see where it takes you, I think that's a far healthier standpoint for interacting with art and media in general. But if you're gonna choose a route to go, either like, be predetermined to enjoy something or be predetermined to hate something, it is a far better option to be predetermined to enjoy something. Like, we have how many years on this planet, and you're gonna waste your time hating things? Like, get over yourself. Like, you're so annoying. Just pisses me off. And I understand I might get a decent amount of dislikes for this, or like comments being like, you're what a shill, you're a Disney shill, like, accept your money, Disney shill. Like, if Disney was paying me, that would be dope as fuck. Like, that would be great. I would love for my positive opinion on this show to be rewarded with money. That would be awesome. But I'm not being paid by Disney. I just genuinely enjoy it. Like, it's so frustrating. I've gotten so many messages, both on like Instagram or Twitter, some comments here and there on YouTube being like, oh look, another Disney shill, like, how's that Disney paycheck treating you? You think Disney is paying me money when my videos are getting less than 1,000 views? Like, you think Disney's forking over cash for 600 views on an Acolyte video? Get out of town. Like, who do you think I am? You think I'm some mega channel that has all the pull in the world? No, it's not how that works. You think Disney's got that in their budget to just like pay all the people that enjoy their show? No. It's not how that works. Like, you people are stupid. Like, the people that are profiting from their opinion on these shows are the people that are, reviewing it negatively, disingenuinely approaching the project, and rage baiting and hate viewing, because they know that is what, like, that's the profitable way to go about it, is to, approach it from a rage, anger perspective. So, yeah, I don't know. It just pisses me off. Like, I get so annoyed. Consistently. It doesn't matter what it is nowadays. Over the last 5 to 10 years, just any sort of project that is not explicitly catered towards straight white 40-year-old men is like immediately disregarded as woke, as DEI, as, trash writing, garbage, it's so frustrating. To just, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be Star Wars. It can be anything, any property is just immediately, if it's not like catered again towards the straight white 40-year-old man, it is immediately disregarded as not worth viewing, and it's just so frustrating. And it's the same people that do it every time, that approach it from this standpoint, and it's oh god, it sucks. But yeah, no, back to sorry, I was just venting for a while. Back to the actual content of this episode. I generally enjoyed it. I think they tied things together really well, and in a way that was emotionally and narratively satisfying. Obviously, there are questions and things that I would like to see for season 2. I want to see more of Chimere and Osha, their training, like what's going on with there. I want to know more about Chimere and Vernestra's relationship, because we definitely touched on that a decent amount in this episode, right? He was her former pupil before he turned to the dark. They could sense each other. Like, as soon as she got off the ship, she sensed him because he didn't have his helmet on. Like, their connection is that strong that they just immediately sense each other. Even when he had the helmet on, she could still sense him a little bit being there. And so I want to really touch on that if they get a season 2. But then the biggest thing that I want touched on season 2 is the thing that they just tossed out there in the middle of the episode, and that is Darth Plagueis. Like, something that I would have expected at the, you know where they had the Yoda appearance at the end of this episode. I would have expected in that, episode, like, time frame slot, I would have expected the Darth Plagueis reveal to happen there at the very end, to be like, really end the series on that note, being like, oh my god, like, they're gonna address Plagueis in season 2. But instead they just toss it in the middle of the episode. Like, that is one that's one structural thing that I'm a little confused about. Like, it works in the middle of the episode. I think it would have been a far more engaging, like, stinger to end the season if you put that at the end, because, I mean, you still ended, for the most part, you still ended things at the unknown planet. Like you could have put that little moment at the very, very end of the show, and it would have worked even better. Like, I think it would have worked better as, like, a get people hyped for the end of the end of the season and going into next season. You could have put that Yoda moment anywhere. Like, it would have worked just fine. But the fact that they just so casually toss out Plagueis in that moment, like, was he in that cave the whole time? Was he just, like, chilling there? Like, is there a little hammock above in the ceiling that he's just, like, sleeping there? Like, has he been influencing Chimera this whole time? Has he been did he influence the vision that Osha had when she was in the helmet? Did Chimera know about him? Like, it brings so many questions into play surrounding, like, what's going on. Like, did he just notice this stuff happening in the Force and was like, ooh, maybe I should pay attention to that? Like, the dude just, like, peeks around the corner. It's like, what are you doing here, Plagueis? Like, what is it? Look, I was like, like, he puts his hand out around the wall, and I was like, oh, who is that? And then he's just like, Plagueis, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you just toss him out there like that? But no, it was crazy. It was crazy. So that's something I really want touched upon for next season, is what the piss is going on with Plagueis. I imagine he would have to be, like, a major character for season 2 and beyond, because, like, he's Palpatine's master. Like, he is, like, the supreme Sith at this point in the story, up until Phantom Menace. I think he dies in the Phantom Menace, like, not the movie, but, like, the novelization. I think in the novelization of the Phantom Menace, Plagueis is still alive at that point, and then or maybe not. No, I might be thinking it wrong. I know Plagueis, like, or Palpatine kills him, like, in his sleep or whatever. At least that's what we're led to believe, based on Palpatine talking with Anakin. But I thought I remembered something, either in the Plagueis novel. I think it goes right up to the Phantom Menace, because I think Maul is in that, and I thought there was, like, a deleted scene maybe of the Phantom Menace that involved Plagueis. I'm not remembering it 100% clearly. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he lives, like, right up to that point. And so I imagine if this show continues beyond this season, that, one, him either training Chimera or training or meeting Palpatine is probably, like, going to be a major storyline regarding, what's going to happen going forward, because that is a massive, massive thing. Maybe Plagueis is, like, training Chimera. Maybe he's, like, observing Chimera training Osha, and is just like doing all this thing, and then in comes this like 15, 20-year-old Palpatine, and he's like, oh, psych, you're dead. Like kills both of them, and then he's like, you are the new master, like, or you're my new apprentice, and builds him up. That would be like such an interesting way to like, if I imagine that would be like how they end the series, like end this show as a whole is they maybe they get to the point like Chimera or Osha is like his current apprentice. Maybe he kills Chimera and Osha is his apprentice, and he's like, yes, like, you are my apprentice. And then in comes Sheev Palpatine, and he's like, psych, never mind. Like, kill this girl, Palpatine, rise up, like, let's go. That would be how you end the whole thing, right? Because then that's like the perfect leading, because you don't need necessarily to see a storyline about Plagueis training up Palpatine and like becoming like the Emperor and all that stuff. Like, you just know at some point Palpatine kills him. Like, that would be the perfect like bookend. You don't necessarily need to see that like 20 to 50 year period where he was just like his apprentice. I think I'm thinking too far ahead at this point. I'm thinking of possibilities that haven't yet come or been addressed, but it's just crazy that they tossed that in the middle of the episode. But regarding the season as a whole, I think I really enjoyed it. I think more positively about it as I keep going. The acting performances I thought were really good, especially Sol's actor. He was so good. He learned English for this role, and he crushed it. He was so engaging as a Jedi, and it's so interesting. Like, the beginning of the show, we were like, man, like, this guy's like the perfect, like, picturesque Jedi. Just so kind, so patient, compassionate. Like, this is what Qui-Gon would have been. Like, he disregards the council when he needs to. Turns out we were wrong. He was putting on a facade of like the perfect Jedi, but inside he was, crippled by, the guilt of his actions, and it's so interesting. Like, I thought he was really good. I thought Amanda Stenberg was pretty decent. She had the difficult task of trying to play two different characters that both had like half a personality, if that makes sense. Like, both of these characters were not fully fledged individuals, and she had to play both of them in different ways, which it could lead to some moments that felt stilted and felt a little awkward in terms of the acting. But I think that's just the result of the situation. With what she was given, I thought she did a pretty decent job. Manny Jacinto as Jason Mendoza, as Chimera, he was great. He was imposing. He was scary. He was funny early on. Like, he just delivered this like multi-layered performance that I thought was super dope. Like, he's my favorite character in the show. As soon as he showed up and like was being goofy, I was like, there's something more about him. And then he revealed himself. I was like, this is my new favorite character in the show. Like, he's goated. Super engaging. The four other Jedi, or the three other Jedi that we knew back in the day of Indara, Torben, and Kilnaka, I thought they were engaging characters, especially Indara. Like, seeing her early on, you're thinking like, oh, she's kind of like closed off, seems a little like short with how she addresses people. She must have been the one that like spearheaded this event. Turns out she was the one that was trying to keep everything together. And she was like a compassionate individual. Seeing a Wookiee fight was awesome. Seeing Torben doing his like spinny thing, and like the actor's portrayal of that anxiety in that character, I thought was good. Freaking the witches were interesting, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Mother Coral down the road, because she, there was no body there. She's probably still alive. Very curious what happened there. Like, I thought generally, for the most part, all of the actors did a really solid job. Again, the combat was incredible. The visuals of this show, like cinematography wise, were super good. I love that they didn't film in the volume. That's been my biggest pet peeve, I think, of Star Wars shows and some Marvel shows and some other recent shows of the last couple years, is their like absolute reliance on the volume. It's part of the reason Andor looked so good is because they didn't really film on the volume at all. It's part of the reason this show looked so good is because they didn't film on the volume. Like, they built out these sets and it looked really, really solid. Super pleased with that. Yeah, and then narratively the story was decent, you know. I think the way they marketed it early on was a little interesting. You know, they very much marketed this as like a Sith-focused story, which it kind of ended up being with Osha turning to the dark side at the end. But for the most part, you know, most of the episodes, it wasn't really that. It was more so, you know, focused. It's hard to like give it a clear focus because it involved a couple main things. But, you know, it was the fall, you know, seeing one character go from, you know, the light side and falling to the dark side. But it was really like an introspective on the failures of a couple individuals within a set structure, like making a commentary on the fact that like not every Jedi is perfect. Like, even the greatest, you know, even what we would assume as the best of the Jedi, even they are flawed and they could make mistakes and fall, and it just adds more strength to the prequels, right? It makes it more believable that the Jedi are not infallible and the Jedi would make mistakes that would eventually lead to their complete and total destruction. Granted, 95% of that was Palpatine interjecting and sowing that and driving that home. I think if Palpatine isn't involved in the prequels, I don't think the Jedi collapse. I don't think the Jedi Order fails. I think the Jedi Order continues and is a strong presence in the galaxy and a good presence in the galaxy. It's Palpatine's influence on the situation that really kicks the legs out from under the Jedi Order and causes its collapse. But I think this show did a really good job of showing that, you know, the structures of it aren't as foolproof as they would like to believe, and that, you know, targeting one individual or like the failure of one individual can easily lead to these larger structural issues, and that not everyone is perfect, and there are multitudes and layers to every individual in a story, and that characters can be more than one thing. I thought that was really, really well done. There were some structural issues again with pacing and moments where it felt a little unfocused, but I thought for the most part it was still pretty solid. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing a season 2. Going forward, I think the next Star Wars show is Skeleton Crew. I'm curious about that one. I don't know necessarily what it's about. I imagine they're going to show a trailer for it probably at Star Wars Celebration, the next one. So never mind. They're not going to show a trailer for it at Star Wars Celebration because there is no Star Wars Celebration this year. The next one is in 2025 in Japan, which I desperately wanted to go to. If I could afford a plane ticket to Japan, I probably would have bought some tickets to Star Wars Celebration. But I think Skeleton Crew comes out at the end of the year, so they're definitely not going to wait until next Star Wars Celebration to show a trailer for it. But I'm curious about what that show is. It's starring Jude Law and then a bunch of children, as far as I'm aware. And I think when it was initially pitched, or initially announced, I think some people in the know described it as essentially like Stranger Things, but Star Wars. And I think what they meant by that is just the reliance on the like younger cast and the hopeful desire to like build those characters into something more. I don't know when it's set. I don't know the premise of the show. I just know it's Jude Law and some kids. Based on some of the images that have been released about it, it looks like some of these kids are like either aliens or like force. They just give the vibe of like force sensitive children. And so my guess, if I had to guess about the premise of the show, it's probably like Jude Law leading a group of force sensitive children somewhere, whether he's like smuggling them or protecting them or training them. I don't know. But I'm very, very curious to see, you know, what's going on with there. I think Andor season 2, I think they just finished filming season 2. Like, I think they recently just wrapped filming season 2. So I'm very, very interested in that. Obviously, it's my favorite Star Wars project that's ever come out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing season 2. And then, 2026 or 27 is when the Rey movie comes out, or maybe 2025. Anytime between 2025 and 2027, the Rey sequel movie is coming out, and the Mandalorian movie will eventually come out. Very interested to see, you know, where things take us. I imagine they're going to be announcing maybe another animated show soon because the Bad Batch just ended. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of intriguing Star Wars stuff still to come, and I am personally very excited to eventually get to witness it and give my honest, genuine opinion on it and not approach it from a disingenuous standpoint. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this. Definitely let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. I'm very curious to see how you feel about this episode, about the show in general. Again, if you dislike the show, that's fine. Like, you don't have to like the show. But if you disliked it, like, have genuine, actual criticisms of things. Don't just be like, bad writing, woke, you know, whatever. Like, explain your position, right? And be ready to defend it. Because if you come in my comments being like, this show sucks, like, I'm either just gonna block you from the channel because you don't provide actual real criticism, or if you provide what you believe is real criticism, like, I will read it and I'll be like, oh, I either disagree or I agree. You know, that's the point of genuine conversation from a honest intellectual standpoint, is it's meant to be engaged with. But again, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm very curious to see how you feel. Otherwise, if you enjoyed my reaction, please leave a like on the video. It means a lot to me. If you're new here, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified when I upload again, especially if you want to see me react to more Star Wars stuff. And then if you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, consider supporting me on Patreon or joining YouTube memberships. Both of those linked in the description down below. You just sync up your own copy of the episode and you can watch along with me. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.